Welcome back, hot dogs. It's your boy TWP, aka Spider Pig. Y'all already know what time it is. Yeah, another Super Saturday. Shouts out to Super Saturdays. Saturdays ain't super. Holla at your boy, man. We gonna have some Dragon Balls content to review every week. Yeah, y'all be right here rocking with your boy. If not, keep rocking by yourself. Yeah, you dig? Yeah, I mean, shit. Yeah, let's get to the videos, cause you know how that be.
Hello, monkey. I heard you like to fight, but never let an enemy out of your sight. 20 fools that go with him to face our might. The Frieza force will knock you out like a light. Isn't Gohan the only one to get your hand-me-downs? Vegeta had a pity party with his tears out. Lucian was a weird case, why was he around? Certified Super Saiyan, certified imbecile. Frieza, fuck him up. I did my stuff. Why are you fighting like a bitch? Are you hungry? Try with all your might, but you're still a filthy monkey.
In Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball GT, Goku Black and Baby stand out as the greatest villains of their respective series. Possessing interesting backstories, cool designs, and strong motivations, these two characters stand near the top of the list of the best Dragon Ball villains of all time. But when it comes down to it, which of these two antagonists is superior? Well, in this video, we're going to break that down. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and
See how we starting the day off. We're starting off with a Black Goku versus Baby Vegeta. Ooh-wee. Let's hear what he had to say, though. Bro probably finna go in. Shout out to that big homie. Y'all know to go check out his original content and all his links. Yeah, that's why we paused on the page. Perfect time to pause, right? Yeah, no diddy.
And enable notifications so you could see all of my content right away when it comes out. And joining me today in this video is someone you've seen on my videos in the past.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh from Dragon Ball Nation.
Okay, Josh, so in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at a number of different categories by which we're going to judge the different characters in order to determine which one of them is really the superior villain in the Dragon Ball franchise. And of course, this is going to be a discussion about a super character versus a GT character. So as we know, that's not going to cause any kind of debating whatsoever among the Dragon Ball community, is it, Josh?
Not in the slightest.
You're right, I'm sure it won't. Okay, so let's first start out with the backstories of these two villains, which is one of the most interesting aspects of both of their characters. Now, when it comes down to Goku Black, of course, Goku Black was originally Zamasu, who is a Supreme Kai that used to be the North Kai, because apparently that somehow works in the 10th universe where you can take a North Kai and make him a Supreme Kai, but regardless, he had a very strong penchant for justice, and he was somebody who had a lot of fighting potential, which apparently is something that you consider when you're selecting a Supreme Kai, and that is why Gawasu made him his apprentice. On the other hand, we have Baby, who is a character that was an experiment created by the Tuffle people on planet Plant, and these Tuffle people were native to that planet when the Saiyans arrived, and then the Saiyans, led by King Vegeta, according to GT's timeline, were the ones who destroyed their race and took over the planet and called it Planet Vegeta, and Baby was basically their last-ditch effort to kind of get revenge upon the Saiyans. So, getting into that backstory aspect, Josh, who do you think has the better backstory out of these two characters?
For me, in terms of whose backstory I like more, it's tough because Baby Vegeta had a lot of things going for him, but as I'll get into more later, in terms of whose backstory I like more, I'm gonna have to give it to Goku Black, even though I like the backstory.
BS. Baby Vegeta had the better backstory. I mean, meeting a god, aka a supreme god that's actually a bad guy, that's not a good backstory. That's just Kira Toriyama doing the same writing style he's always had, which is a D student. Shouts out to our D student, because he could have came up with a better way for Goku to be a villain. I mean, there's the what if Goku bumped his head or never bumped his head storylines. Goku himself could have been his own bad guy. But the good thing about Baby I prefer would be that the Saiyans came in and wiped them out, so Baby came back and took over the most adequate person that he wanted to take over, aka Vegeta. Hell, the one who he had to get back on in the first place. He's like, Goku, you just the op, but you know, Vegeta's actually, you see what I'm saying, that guy that I would try to embarrass, which is actually embarrassing because, you know, they just had the whole, oh, Vegeta's pride hack is actually his ultimate cheat code. He's not one to be as acceptable to mind control because his pride won't let him be controlled by another person, which that in itself is supposed to say something. But you know, we ain't gonna go too far into it because our favorite D student forgot that. He said that in the past. Oh, it's hard to take over Vegeta's mind because mentally he's that guy. You see what I'm saying? But as far as Goku Black, nah. His backstory was whack. Hell.
Babies, even though it's kind of a rip-off in a sense, or maybe an homage, some people say, but it really is kind of a rip-off of like Hachiaks, basically.
Yeah.
So we've seen it before in Dragon Ball, even though it was a non-canon film, but this is also a non-canon series, without sparking any debates in the comments, obviously, but I think it's kind of obvious at this point, right? Baby Vegeta's backstory is interesting. There's a real, motivation, which we'll get into later, obviously. We'll compare the motivations and stuff like that. But with Goku Black, I just feel like his backstory is filled out more. There was a lot better, in my opinion. I know not everyone likes the arc. People think it's some of the weakest parts of Super, besides the Resurrection F stuff. Yeah. And maybe the retelling of Battle of Gods as well. I feel like the storytelling in the Future Trunks arc was pretty good in a lot of parts. And I liked a lot of Goku Black's backstory and his motivation, which again, we'll get into. But just the twists and turns that happened in that story, and just kind of, Goku Black's really hype. That's kind of one of the main drives. He's such a popular character now in the series, right? Like, he's in everything at this point. He's in fighters and stuff, so he really is just a popular character, but there's just elements of the backstory that we'll get into later that I really enjoy myself more than Baby. But I do like Baby's backstory. It feels unique, even though it is still a ripoff, but it's just one of those things where there is such a clear motivation with him, especially with Baby Vegeta.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to Baby, he has a really interesting backstory that, as you said before, he is very much inspired by, if you want to say that, by Hachiak from Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. And, going from that, it really is interesting how Baby turned out, because obviously Baby is a far superior version of Hachiak. He actually has, motivations, which we're going to get into in a minute. But when it comes to Goku Black, I guess I've always been someone who is more into that kind of mythological backstory. Goku Black is a god. I've always been a fan of mythology and the idea of a god that goes evil and somebody who is kind of against mortals who are below him. So I guess I could definitely see that, and I might have to agree with you for that category too, in saying that Goku Black has a more interesting backstory, even though, Baby's is more grounded in science and is more directly related to Goku and Vegeta. But I guess you could kind of say that about Black attaining Goku's body.
One other thing we should mention when you talk about the gods and stuff is one of the big hype moments for me was that we were finally getting a Makaio-shin, right? You're talking about gods turning evil. And we were waiting for a real Makaio-shin in the series for a while. There were all these theories about Deborah maybe being a Makaio-shin and stuff like that, right? There's so many little lore elements, I guess almost fan service in a way, made for people that were more looking for, I guess, an evil god. So it was a new thing for us, really, with Goku Black's story. It was more unique than Baby for sure. in terms of his origins and all of that. Much more unique, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely more unique to Dragon Ball, even though we have had similar ideas in the past with somebody like King Piccolo or Garlic Jr., but that also ties directly into Goku Black's motivation, so let's discuss his and Baby's right now. Now, Goku Black's motivations are of a higher order than pretty much every other Dragon Ball villain we've seen up until this point. Zamasu was a being who watched over all of the mortals that were below him. As a Supreme Kai, a basic god of creation, it was his job to look over the mortals and help to either guide them or at least watch them as their civilizations progressed, so that they could get a higher mortal level, I guess, if we're going to use stuff that comes after it. Even though obviously Shin was really bad at that job in Universe 7, so maybe Gawasu was onto something, even though he was really stupid in picking Zamasu to replace him anyway. But anyway, Zamasu basically saw that mortals were a mistake of the gods. Their creation and their existence was something that was polluting the rest of the pure creation and the natural order of the universe itself. Because of that, and because of the fact that he saw the barbary on that planet basically killing one another, even after they went forward in time 1,000 years. And then, of course, he met up with Goku, who, of course, wanted to fight him because he saw this guy. He's a big, strong guy, so I gotta fight him. And he embarrassed him in his own Supreme Kai realm, and he made his power as a god look inferior. So that led him to go about his Zero Mortal plan, which led him to steal Goku's body, go to future Trunks' timeline, team up with that Zamasu, and then spread their plague of destruction across all of the 12 universes so that they could become the one true god of existence. Although, they kind of forgot about Zeno, but that's a story for another day. And when it comes to Baby, on the other hand, Baby, I feel like, even though it isn't as big of a plan as Goku Black and Zamasu, his might be a little bit more relatable and understandable because Baby was essentially kind of like a weapon that was created by the Tuffles, so that he could wipe out the Saiyans, but also not just wipe them out, but replace them and make them and the other beings in the universe into Tuffles. And basically his goal was eventually to spread throughout the universe and replace all of the people with his extinct people that were wiped out by the Saiyans. And obviously that sounds really bad, and it is, which is why he's a villain, but at the same time, you have, I guess, something that you can relate to him more on that level because the fact that it's kind of his revenge for something that was an evil deed that was done to him and his people by the Saiyans. So, taking into account both of these backstories and both of these motivations, who do you think has the superior motivation in your eyes to the other?
Maybe seems biased, but I gotta go Goku Black because
Yeah, that guy sucks. So we're gonna once again go with Baby. Not just because we're a Vegeta fan, but because Baby's story makes more sense. Who cares about a mysterious god that just took over Goku? If it would have been a god that it wasn't just a Goku and Vegeta level fight, it would have been more important because Beerus should have came in and actually handled this both times. Not just in the future, but both times. It's a god. They only just now becoming new to being gods. Let the god do the god thing. There's this rogue god running around in Goku's body. I'm gonna handle that because Beerus handled Goku to begin with. Then you enhance him by making him a Beerus level threat because, Goku, I was only using 70% of my power. Not really. That's 70% of your power without Ultra Instinct. We already know Beerus has Omen. He ain't got Mastered UI, but he's got Omen, so hell, anything less than that ain't shit.
It just is a more interesting motivation that he was kind of humiliated. Like you said, he wants to eliminate all those that he deems inferior, which is really zero mortals. Just no more mortals on this earth. Have it only be gods. But it kind of got to the point where, he did go around and killed all the Supreme Kais that were linked to the respective gods of destruction and all of that. So eventually it became to the point where it was just him and Goku Black. But I found that there was a lot more creativity with that, again, because it was more original. It hadn't really been done before in Dragon Ball. But these things about multiple timelines going on, all that stuff was great. But Baby's motivation was more justified, which I kind of liked about it because, he's still a psychopath. Essentially, it was kind of the opposite of what Zamasu did because he wasn't killing everyone. He was kind of bringing the Tuffles back. So he was kind of starting a race, even though he was taking over everyone's bodies, obviously. So in a sense, he was eliminating them, even though they were still there. So his was kind of not eliminating races. It was was bringing his race back, which I liked that. It wasn't the same as what Hot Jack had done or was trying to have done. So that's what I liked about Baby mainly. But I feel like in terms of motivation, again, Super, it just seemed to be more coherent. It seemed to flow better. Maybe it's just better writing talent, all of that stuff. You know, having Toriyama outlining the story in some capacity, however much he did outline. I feel like it just worked better with Goku Black, just not because it's newer, just had, I think, more talent to it.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from there. For me, there's pros and cons on both sides. When it comes to Baby, you know, the biggest problem I had with him, at least later on, was that he started to kill his own people towards the end. And despite the fact that he was growing in power, he was actually kind of regressing as a villain and turning into more of a generic evil villain. Eventually, he started saying, I don't care, I'll attack the Earth, I'll do this, I'll do that, you know, like...
Right, which totally broke the whole character.
Yeah. But with Goku Black, on the other hand, like, he was more consistent in his actions, but at the same time, there are some kind of, like, big plot holes surrounding him. Like, for example, if Goku Black wanted to get rid of all the mortals and all the gods, then why didn't he use the Super Dragon Balls that can grant any wish he wants to obliterate all of them in an instant, you know? Like, why didn't
Where's the fun in that?
I guess so. I guess that's what it maybe comes down to, that he was more of a sadist and a psychopath. So.
Right. Well, especially the Goku Black himself, and rather than just Zamasu, because being Goku's body obviously had altered his mental state, really, I would say. I mean, just the way he acts was definitely a bit different being Goku's body, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see that difference between the two of them. Although I like the fact that if we're going to count Zamasu as the two beings, but also the same one, you know, like how he does have the motivations of wanting to get stronger, but then also the motivations of wanting to be immortal. And then I guess you could say that Goku Black counts for both Zamasu himself and then the merged form of them. So I guess that, you know, two heads are better than one in this case. I think it's fair to talk
about all the forms because, you know, even though Goku Black and Zamasu are different, they are still Zamasu. It's kind of just really each are, you know, a side of a coin, really. You know, one went down one path, decided to be immortal, and the other wanted power. They are the same character. It's altered because of the paths they took.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into some of the other aspects that typically make a villain like really cool in the eyes of the audience. You know, those would come down to their abilities and, you know, their overall design. So let's first get into the designs. And obviously, when it comes to both characters, they are in fact body swappers. Baby is a parasite by nature who took over the body of a bunch of different people, and his most iconic body that he took over was Vegeta. But of course, he does, much like Zamasu, have his own form, which is separate from that. So who would you say is the better designed character, and who would you say has the better powers and abilities overall? Because
this motherfucker says that pink hair son bitch, I know he's a suspect. And by suspect, I mean, you know what the fuck I mean, because guess what? That's a Super Saiyan 3 fucking body form of Vegeta right there. Super Saiyan 3 was canon long before it was canon for Vegeta. Because guess what? Look at the eyes and look at how his hair spikes up to the front. Way more aggressive than normally. That's exactly what happened with his hair in Demon. Shout out to Demon because hey, I don't care what he says. Baby Vegeta was peak. I did a video on it. Shouts out to that. Why GT Vegeta was peak, because I mean he was Super Saiyan 3. Nobody just they just glossed over that because nobody wanted to pay attention to that back in the day. Oh well, why is his eyebrows like that? Because Vegeta's always got that eyebrow. That's one of his face. That should have been one of his face designs because he should permanently look like an Ozaru because he's that guy. But anyways, let's get to it because you know the end of the video is what everybody wanted to see, not who's the better villain. But you know, I gotta throw something in there to keep y'all watching because you know it's called watch time hours. If you can't get people to watch for an hour, what you doing?
Again, like I said, Baby's a parasite, and Zamasu is someone who takes over Goku's body, but he also has other abilities of his own, such as the energy sword. And then when he becomes merged Zamasu, he has the weird bird aura thing and, you know, the rays of justice and stuff, you know. Who do you think has, like, the better skill set and the better, I guess, overall design?
I mean, Mike, I don't even know if it's honestly close, to be honest with you. I've always found Baby to look goofy. Real quick touch on the voice acting. I like it in Japanese. It's fine. The English dub sounds goofy. It really does. It just sounds so goofy. That is more voice acting.
Then he says one thing I didn't even think about, the voices. Of course, he said Baby had a worse voice. So, see, what did I say? I said he was going to pick the pink, motherfucker. Hey, pink's good when you're getting some, but if it ain't pink, you know, it's that stink.
acting rather than design, but even his designs, especially like that middle form between his final, Super Baby 2, it's those big shoulder blades. He doesn't look cool. Grade 8 Baby is kind of cool looking, almost, but I mean, even his Parasite form, it's just not doing it for me. It's very weird looking. Goku Black is just Goku, maybe a little bit slimmer looking just from the design, but obviously a slightly darker skin tone, I think, just to distinguish him a little bit better. He's got that shading to him. I love the design of the gi for him, though. I love it. And quickly, like, Merge Zamasu's design was great. If we're going to talk about him, just the way those two bodies combined was fantastic. Baby Vegeta, though, the Revenge Death Ball, it's just a ball that a million characters have thrown before. Yes, he can possess people, which is kind of cool, but you know what? It's not that interesting to me if he's just doing it to random people. It's only interesting when he's doing it to main characters. It's not interesting against civilians. I don't care about them. I don't. Goku Black has the key sword, like you said. I don't even think it's close. The Divine Lasso he uses, oh my god. So iconic at this point in the series now. It's in all of these games. Everyone loves the move. It is his attack. Him and Zamasu, when they did their own version of a giant ball attack, like a Revenge Death Ball, was...
See, he's saying he like the lasso. See, weird motherfucker. Like to be tied up. I like to see people tie people up type shit. But hell, we don't judge them because that's what we do. We're a judgmental reaction and review channel around this motherfucker. You don't like being judged? Guess what? Judge me. He's not qualified to say that.
It's way better than anything Baby had done because they both combined their powers. They raised their hands up, slammed that ball into the ground, and it was devastating. I mean, it's such a good scene. Yeah, and like I said, the key sword is so simple, but just the way he moves, the way he stabs Vegeta with it, all the shards he could shoot out of it, the scythe that he rips out of his hand, the multiple Goku Blacks that he brings out of like other dimensions or whatever. I don't even think it's close. I really don't. And, I might sound biased, but at least for this section of the video, I don't know anyone that can dispute the fact that Goku Black just had a way better moveset. Maybe you like Baby's.
Nah, that's not even better because, see, the point of Baby is he's taking over everybody versus the guy that's killing everybody. I'd rather take over and control everybody than be the only person that's stuck running around by my goddamn self. It's called teamwork, makes the dream work. Hey, if you can't put together a team, take over a team. Shouts out to Baby. But now, the same thing with Goku Black. He'd take over everybody in the universe and just possess them himself. That ends up being one of his, not really main timeline plots, but fan animes, that's what they all do. He takes over everybody. Because guess what? What's better than Goku Black? Gohan Black. What's better than Gohan Black? Beerus Black. Shouts out to Beerus Black. That nigga might actually put in some work at that point in time in the story, but you know how I go. Hell, take him over.
Design more, but Baby's moveset and just abilities were not anywhere near as interesting, in my opinion. It's not even close for me.
Once again, here I'm kind of split in different aspects. Like, when it comes to designs for me, like, I actually do kind of lean towards Baby. Even though in some earlier forms, especially like the form you point out, it doesn't really look as good. Like, I think that Baby's final form of Baby Vegeta, and then the Golden Ozaru, and then like even his form, like before Goku blasts him into his son, his, I guess, matured form, I really like the look of those. Whereas with Goku Black, obviously he's drawn more evilly. He has like the Anakin clothing, which is something that I liked how it seemed kind of Star Wars influenced in terms of his outfit. But, when he is Super Saiyan Rosé, sure, it looks cool, but for me, it's kind of just like, Super Saiyan Blue, but it's pink instead, or purple, So I kind of go more towards design in Baby's favor, but aside from the fact that he can like go into people like a Parasite and he has regeneration stuff, I definitely think that Goku Black's moves, they're more aesthetically pleasing. The only design of his I don't really like is when Merge Zamasu becomes the big bulky form. Like, I think it looks slow, like kind of, bad at that point. But I feel like before that, he looked good. It's just once he gets part of him blown off and then, he becomes a big bulky Cell or Piccolo kind of form, I'm not really a big fan of that. But in terms of like overall movesets, I feel like he was more designed to kind of be in fighting games or more like to have a more pleasing moveset compared to Baby. The move I do like, I do like Baby's Revenge Death Ball because the aura and appearance of it are pretty cool. And with it being kind of like an evil version of the Spirit Bomb. Aside from that, obviously Goku Black has a cooler looking moveset. And I think that's definitely something that's been shown in fighting games since then.
Especially Dragon Ball FighterZ and Dokkan Battle, for anyone that plays those. I mean, oh, beautiful looking.
So let's now get into what is arguably the most important thing when it comes down to villains, and that would be accomplishments. Who has the greater accomplishments out of these two? Of course, when we look at Goku Black and Zamasu, what they did was they
basically did the same damn thing. They took over the universes, except for, I think Black actually did more because he killed all the gods, the creation, all the supreme gods, I should say. He killed all the supreme gods, which led to the, nullifications of the gods' destructions. But Baby was taking over everybody. He took over. The best thing he did was take over Bulma, because then Bulma was his bottom. You see what I'm saying? If you don't know what the bottom is, you don't need to know, because some of y'all might be young, but you get what I'm saying. He took over Vegeta's bottom beach, and she loves her some Vegeta. So apparently she was like, yeah, baby Vegeta, okay, hell, we got an even better Vegeta, okay, because it was mostly Bulma's personality still. It was just taking over to make her a toughel, which, he took whatever the person was and then will use them to work for him as him. Best way to get employees is to find people that like you and then put that part of yourself in there. But like I said, Goku Black, nah. I mean, he killing everybody, which he's doing it by hand, which he could have just did it with a wish, which is, do you want to get the job done or do you want to get the job done? See, he didn't actually get the job done because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So that would be the opposite about Goku Black, how I feel about it, because he actually didn't get the job accomplished. Baby, I would consider him getting his job accomplished because he took over Vegeta, which is who he was going after, and he was setting more things up after he actually completed his plan, because his plan was just to come in, take over Vegeta, and then be ready to kick some ass, and that's exactly what he was doing. Hell, just so happened he forgot that he left the MC out the whole plan. If you'd have took care of Goku, you wouldn't have got your ass whooped in the end, but at the same point in time, hell, he actually got his main plan accomplished. Versus Black, I'm going to kill all mortals. Yeah, you could have did that with a wish and did it exactly how you did it. Put my brain in all the mortals' bodies. So now everybody you look at is you. So now they're not going to be fuck-ups. They're going to be you. So you will be happy with that. It was one big wish, and he wanted one body when he should have hit them all, which was Baby's plan. Better plan. And now this dude's finna say some fucked up shit. Yeah, so let's hear it.
Killed all of the gods in Future Trunks' timeline, and eventually they merged together and became the timeline itself after Trunks destroyed their corporal or physical body. And of course, they also killed Goku and his family in another timeline, which is Goku Black's original timeline. On the other hand, Baby was able to infect all of the people of the Earth, taking over Vegeta's body and turning all of Goku's friends and family against him, as well as wishing back his destroyed planet. Now, even though both of them accomplished part of their goals, neither of them really achieved 100% of their plans, because Baby didn't take over everyone and defeat Goku, and Goku Black and Zamasu were still obliterated by Zeno when he erased the timeline. So overall, in terms of their accomplishments, I mean, this might not be much of a comparison at all, Josh, but who do you think has the superior accomplishments out of the two different villains here?
Anyone that knows me knows I like GT quite a bit. I do like Baby as a character, and I do like the fights he's in. And did he really accomplish anything in the end? I mean, everything was fine at the end, right? Like,
pretty much.
Goku Black, I'll put it down like this. Everything that happened with him, even though Trunks had a happy ending, even though he's in a universe or a timeline with our Trunks and Maya in it, right? The course of events that Goku Black took, and then having to have Zeno come out and destroy a universe, you might not say that's an accomplishment by him. But let me tell you something. His course of actions got a whole timeline just destroyed. Trillions and trillions of lives, even though they weren't all done by his hand. Remember how many lives he has probably taken just as Goku Black.
Tons and tons of them.
I don't think it's a comparison. Even if you say he indirectly helped get that timeline taken out, there were so many lives that were just obliterated. And Baby Vegeta, in the end, did nothing. So I don't think it's close. I don't think it's very close, no.
You know,
that's not fanboy.
Now, see, what did I say? He's gonna say something stupid like, just because he got the whole entire universe erased, That doesn't make him the better villain. The best villain is, I mean, because the end goal is of the villain is not to have the whole thing erased, but to come in, do what you're supposed to do, and then after you gone, it could be whatever the story is. Which there's no story after Goku Black because the whole universe got erased. I mean, Trunks got to creep off because he was goaded in that one, so he was like, we ain't gonna kill Trunks, but his whole timeline is erased. There is no future Trunks coming back no more. Hell, his ass got retired. Whole universe got parked, which is a more of a fuck up is getting it done in our book. That's how we say it. Because hell, if the trap is no longer gonna be trapping, it don't matter what the story is. We can stay trapping in jail, we can trap in the streets, we can trap anywhere we get trapping at. But if the whole trap is took out, then that's worse. So at the end of the day, he's trying to say, well, at the end of the stories, they both sound similar, but Goku Black at least had to get the whole thing erased. That's not better in my book. So I don't think it's better.
That's on that point. I mean, that's just the information that's right there. It's not really a debate at all.
Yeah, I would have to agree there because, again, even though both of them were eventually defeated in one form or another, just looking at what Goku Black and Zamasu did by destroying an entire timeline.
Even without what Zamasu had done, they had already taken so many lives on their own.
They just swept through the multiverse like a plague. So, yeah, yes. I definitely have to go with them. They accomplished more than any other Dragon Ball villain, even ones who are more powerful.
And especially taking out all the gods of destruction.
Nah, he can't even say that because I don't agree with that because Majin Buu did the most damage. The man came through and just was destroying planets. The first thing he did, destroyed planets. Destroy. He over here just emptying out planets and then just like, well, I was going to appreciate the artwork by myself with nothing else being there. The fucking mortals. This man literally destroying everything on planets. Makes no sense.
I mean, yeah, okay, baby. What do you have? Oh, what's that? Oh, nothing? Because everything was fine in the end? Okay. All right, yep.
Very true. So
he did run away. That's what he did. He ran away like a little girl. That's what he did at the end.
And then he died in the same place that Broly did, except for the new one. Maybe we'll talk about him someday and compare the two of them, even though I don't think it's going to be much of a comparison. Mike? Yes, Josh, from Dragon Ball Nation, there is. But with that being said, let's get into a final category here, which, of course, is something which is far more subjective than anything else, and is something which is probably also going to cause the most debate out of everyone who's going to be watching this, and that is power. So, between the two of these characters, Josh, who do you think is the most powerful out of the two?
I'm not even going to waste my time trying to break down any numbers here. It's Baby Vegeta, and let me tell you exactly why. Just kidding, it's Goku Black, because, just looking at it, just the way Goku Black presents himself, just the power and the feats we see out of him, and just knowing that Goku and Beerus in the beginning of the series, basically of Super, were like destroy the universe with their clashes. It's just something that GT does not represent well at all with feats, and it's something that's always going to be hard to compare. But just by looking at them and having seen both shows enough to be able to say that Goku Black just seems like a much more powerful foe. I don't feel like it's very close, honestly, at this point. I've made videos arguing GT in the past, but just as the show goes on and on and on, it just gets more obvious that Super characters are just stronger. That's just how they're written. They want them to be the strongest. In things like Dragon Ball Heroes, they try to make Super Saiyan 4 and Blue seem equal, but at this point, I mean, Goku Black was so foreboding. He had so much power. Baby just didn't show enough for me. It's a hard thing to really break down because they're so different of series. You can't compare them so easily. There's no numbers to really go off of unless we're going to do mental gymnastics and do things that the creators never even thought of. So at that point, it's not even fair to compare them in a real sense, but I just have that feeling and that vibe that Goku Black is just made to be essentially what was the strongest villain at that point when he was introduced in any of the series. So,
but Dragon Ball Nation, don't you know that GT takes place after Super?
That is my response.
But yeah, I would have to agree with you because, it's very obvious just looking at feats that everyone in Super right now is so much more powerful.
Oh, is that the recent spin that I haven't heard about Super and Dragon Ball and all that? Now they're trying to say GT takes place after Super, which would be cool. I wouldn't mind that part because hell, Super Saiyan 4 is still gonna be canon, but hell, Toyotaro is gonna bring it back anyways. 'Cause the good thing is about knowing who Toyotaro is, you've already studied his work, so you know what type of story he gonna tell. If you don't know, we got a video called "Who the Fuck is Toyotaro?" Uh, it's right about the time we finished Dragon Ball Dima, so go back and look in the playlist. Super Saturdays.
Than their counterparts in GT. Like Goku Black and Zamasu would just annihilate almost everyone in GT, like except for maybe 2 separate characters who I can think of. But even then, like, I don't even know if the top tier characters could stand much of a chance compared to like just the feats alone of what we've seen from them.
Right. GT just never represented feats very well. And like I said earlier, anyone that knows me knows I like GT. Super Saiyan 4 Goku is probably my favorite thing in Dragon Ball, especially like I think it's Ultra Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku's what he's called when he's fighting Omega after he absorbs energy.
Yeah, he has a great design to say the least.
Yes. I mean, it's so unique. It's complex and simple at the same time, but you know, Baby Vegeta, I mean, we didn't see much of him. I think like comparing Omega to someone from Super is an easier comparison, which we're not going to do here, but you got a vibe of more of what Omega could do.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Omega is one of my favorite villains, even though he was barely in this series. That's how much I like some of the GT stuff. I just thought he was an awesome character, design-wise especially. He's just a tank, really. But yeah, I mean, it's just Baby Vegeta just wasn't well represented in terms of power. He was powerful. I mean, he was mud stomping Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who, I mean, base Goku in GT was like Gotenks level, basically. So,
See, that's why I said that guy. I don't know why you put him in your video, bro. You must be cool with him, but I mean, he made you sound better at some points. Yeah, you dig?
Super Saiyan 3 Goku, dumb strong, no doubt about it. But compared to Super Saiyan Blue Goku, no.
Yeah, I definitely...
Sorry, it's not. And guess what? Power doesn't matter. But we're going to talk about here. If you like Baby more, power should not have an impact on it, right, Mike? Because that's just not the way to look at these series.
Yeah, we were just mostly including that here for fun. But at the end of the day, like just going on feats, obviously everyone in GT, aside from maybe Omega Shenron and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and then Goku at the end of the 100 years, like those are the only comparable.
And Grandma Pan, don't forget.
That's true. Literally the only way that I could see characters in GT being more powerful at this point is if they do say that Super does take place before GT and GT is still within the continuity. But obviously at this point, so much that contradicts GT has happened in Super that I think that they've just 100% just gotten rid of it. But then again, my pessimistic side is always telling me Toei's gonna change that. They're gonna make GT canon. Just wait. But
you never know what's gonna happen nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, Broly's canon now, quote unquote canon, I should say. But the fact of the matter is that I think based on feats, it's definitely Goku Black is stronger. So looking at all these different categories and comparing these two villains side by side, I think that Goku Black would have to come out as the victor between the two of them as the superior villain. Whether or not that comes down to the writing of those working on the different shows at the time, or just how Goku Black was meant to be as a character compared to Baby, I think at the end of the day that Goku Black probably comes out as being better, even though he is more of like a fan servicey character at the end of the day, because of course he is the evil Goku, but you know, he accomplished more, he has a cooler looking moveset, and you know, maybe his motivations aren't as relatable, but they still are like very interesting in and of themselves. You know, it's that kind of Paradise Lost idea of the god turning evil or the angel falling to earth, you know. Although Baby is still one of the best Dragon Ball villains overall, who likely had some influence on Goku Black, it is by far one of the best parts of Dragon Ball GT, so I can certainly understand why many people would go with him. So let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Who do you think is the superior villain between these two? Also, make sure to check out Dragon Ball Nation in the end screen and description. I'm sure he'll upload eventually.
He done said eventually. Dude don't even post content like that. We ain't even gonna give him no airtime.
Output from the World Tournament. After that, we were introduced to some Fist of the North Star bandits that got lost and found their way to Dragon Ball. Now, this one introduces something interesting. If you know anything about Sun Wukong, the character Goku is based on, you know he has 3 iconic tools. Goku has 2 of the 3 tools, but Toriyama never introduced the 3rd, that tool being the Sealing Gourd. Here, it has the power to seal someone if they don't answer when their name is called. After being sealed, they're turned into a liquid that if someone drinks, they can steal the sealed person's power. Kinda OP, huh? Luckily, Goku is able to avoid being converted with the power pole, and turns the gourd on its owners. Goku lets the villagers keep the gourd. Shame he couldn't keep it, as this is filler. But it's not really his style to use something like that anyway. The bandits are no match for Goku, but assuming they've been using the gourd for a while, they're probably pretty strong.
Nah, the gourd is a instant nerf. It's how you defeat a character that you can't defeat. So say for instance, let's go back to Moro. That was what should have took out Moro. That weapon right there. I mean, Goku's not going to use the gourd in order to steal Moro's power, but it would have been used to seal Moro. That's what takes him out of the picture. And then you get to focus on something else. Like, man, that dude was dumb strong. Good thing he's only trapped in the gourd. I can bring him out and fight him whenever I want. That would be Goku's answer for that. But like I said, you got a D student writing a fucking paper. He just turned it in on time and took the grade he got.
So, let's give them 67 and 73. Now,
My beard look right there. I was all lined up and whatnot.
Ultra Ego Vegeta is finally moving closer to the anime. At Puerto Rico Comic-Con, Christopher Sabat, the voice of Vegeta, gave fans a first real taste of what is coming. During a panel, he performed one of Vegeta's strongest lines from the Dragon Ball Super manga. Right before Vegeta unleashes his full strength against Granola, he delivers this line.
Oh man, it looks like my favorite line is going to have to be something along the lines, because I don't know what it's going to be in the dub version. Yeah. But it would be, Kakarot's body may have a mind of its own, but me, I'm all ego.
Hearing those words in Vegeta's real voice changes everything. The energy, the tone, the weight behind it. Ultra Ego is no longer just panels in a manga. It is becoming real. The wait is almost over.
Jesus Christ, really?
Don't forget to become a member of Unrelent Gaming's Patreon for exclusive manga content and early access. Isn't that right, Seth?
I already joined his Patreon today. Tons of great stuff on there, actually. But did you really have to blow up the city?
Yes.
Blew up the domino. You blew up the dominoes and you're laughing. Do you realize the f***ing crisis here?
And you will be next, unless you subscribe, like the video.
Yeah, now y'all know the big homie been having his videos on Sundays, apparently, because he probably been had them releasing on Saturdays on his Patreon. I don't know, but you know, he's ahead on Patreon, so catch up or keep up. You dig? You can either go over there and catch up or stay over here and keep up. Hey, whichever way, we suggest you watch us both. You dig? Shout out to the big homie's Patreon. That way y'all can be ahead, and then y'all can just be over here waiting to see my reactions. Like, I know Popcorn gonna be on it, because you know that's what that Spider Pig do. He comes swinging through talking about them reviews. This is a good one. We got Demon God Raijin overpowered Universe 7, and we steps in and puts in some work. Is he gonna catch the body, or is he just gonna be pump faking? Let's see.
And turn on notifications right now.
Or else what? You'll aggressively scream another man's name for several hours?
Kakarot! Kakarot!
Oh dear, for I had feared that something like this was unfortunately going to turn out to be the case sooner or later. But while there is still time for us to hurry and come up with a game plan that'll help buy us all a bit more time, we must hurry and do what needs to be done before this beast decides to go and take us all down as a result of his thirst for power.
Our story now continues following the initial events of Raijin's arrival within Universe 7 and having to best our heroes in slowly being shown having to make his way towards Whis, to which it was only with Whis now being shown having to carry the third and final configuration cube that Raijin is desperately trying to get his hands on and having to use in furthering his plans, was when Goku then went on to address Vegeta on the ground by then responding, "Well, this doesn't look good, Vegeta, as we've always managed to go and find a way out of any given situation that we ended up finding ourselves within, but this time, I think that we may have went and met our match here because I haven't felt a monstrous power like this since fighting Murno, and we can't just go and back down now and have him walk right through us, because if we do, then you and I are goners," Goku says. And although I'm not really sure if that demon paralyzing technique of yours is going to work on him or not, but one thing that I do know is that we'll need to go and try to fight him together, because fighting him alone is bound to ensure our destruction if we do. And so now, what do you think we should go and try to do here since we're running on borrowed time, Vegeta? As I think that while he isn't looking towards our direction, we should go and get Broly and try to attack him together in order to go and see on how far we can go here, because anything other than having to combine our powers and using it against him, and we'll lose, as Vegeta went on to then quickly respond, "As painful as this is to admit, your instincts are right with this one, Kakarot, and so if we're going down, then it won't be alone or without a fierce struggle in having us do what we must in order."
See, this is a good thing about me getting high, because now I can sit here and ask myself a question. If Frieza can actually control what he looks like whenever he transforms, aka picking golden the first time, and now he's picked black, how his appearance is, why didn't he just go ahead and make his black form second form looking so he's taller, and then in black? Come on now, Frieza, you over here missing opportunities. See, that's what I'm saying about Toriyama, D student. He missed a key opportunity to make something funny about the villain that would have actually been funny. Because when Broly popped up in the movie, the whole point was so he could be a little bit taller. Wish he was a baller type shit. But anyways, so like I said, your favorite D student be missing opportunities. But you see Gohan up in here. He trying to put in some work. Shouts out to Gohan for stepping up real quick. Look at that hair though. Yeah, super spiky.
To try to stop him, and so we'll need to try and regroup with the others and coordinate now carefully, otherwise we are goners if we don't. To which moreover on the other side, as Whis was then shown quickly getting into fighting position whilst holding on to the third and final configuration cube, was when Whis went on to then quickly respond, "Well, you may go and try, but I will not allow for you to go and lay claim over this cube, especially not while I am currently within possession of it, you aren't," Whis adds, "and if waging a war against me is going to be something that you are going to be looking forward towards and attempting to try to pry it away from me, then go right ahead and be my guest, because you aren't—" "Oh no, that bastard doesn't," Beast Gohan then went on to quickly rush on from behind and charging towards Raijin directly, "as I'll go and take it from here while you go and look after and help the others in the meantime, Whis." But even with Gohan's best attempts and having to be shown attacking Raijin, there was nothing that Beast Gohan was able to remotely do that even came close enough in having to affect Raijin, as Raijin then went on to quickly respond, "You pathetic child, do you truly believe that your youthful courage holds any real weight against my overwhelming power? Because it doesn't, as your naive bravery only hastens your own demise, for your efforts to go and stand against me will also backfire," Raijin continues, "no matter how hard it is that you go and try to push back against me, as I am going to savor every little moment in having to break your spirit piece by piece until the very concept of the resistance that you used to go and fight for is torn from your feeble mind, as only then will you truly be able to comprehend on what it means to lose everything," Raijin adds. "But while your stubborn resistance is infuriating, I will rip that very pride that you hold so near and dear to your heart along with your bravado away from you, piece by agonizing piece, until you ultimately come to learn your lesson, Saiyan." then. And since you appear to be using brute strength and attempting to try and make your way into punching right through me in hopes of having any of these feeble attacks actually hurt me, Raijin continues, why don't I go and simply show you on what I mean, since you don't appear to understand and would much rather need for me to demonstrate on what exactly it is that I mean, Saiyan. As demonstrate Raijin did, because with one singular punch, as Raijin was from that point then shown having to completely break apart and shatter Gohan's cranium alongside with his jaw, was when Raijin then went on to quickly continue. And so now let this go and serve as being a pain.
Oh shit, he just uppercut at the shit out of Gohan. Look, he done went to the x-ray. Say, your jaw is not supposed to look like that, bucko. Oh shit, look down here. Don't look ahead. Stay on top of it. Let's go to this top panel next, though.
Painful reminder whether you go and live long enough to endure and survive this, or perish within these moments of having me go and break your face, as you were never any threat to me to begin with, and so now away with you while I have much bigger and far more important matters to go and attend to at the moment, Saiyan. But it was only within these very moments, unbeknownst to Raijin, as Broly, Goku, and Vegeta were then shown charging up their most powerful attacks behind him, was when Goku then went on to respond, "Let's hurry, Broly, and you too now, Vegeta, so let's go and blast this monster using everything that we have, but just go and wait on my signal until we are to fire." And so now steady now, easy, almost there, and right there, Goku shouts. And so now let's go and blast this monster by using everything that we have, and don't go and hold anything back while we go and blast him, you guys. And so now let's hurry and go and crush this fiend once and for all and do it together. But unfortunately for our heroes, it was only just upon with their collective attack being shown having to make contact and not affecting Raijin whatsoever, was when Raijin then went on to quickly respond. And just what exactly was that supposed to be, as I was already expecting for you worms to go and attempt to try and attack me all at the same time. But since I am already well aware and had prepared for situations such as these, Raijin continues, allow for me to now go and show you, Saiyan mortals, on how to go and get the job done properly. To which it was only just upon with Whis now being shown having to catch Gohan from within the sky, was when Whis went on to then quickly respond, "Oh, now there, Gohan, as I will go and take care of you from here on, for I can sense that you are now no longer without a pulse, but I won't allow for this to be on how this is going to end for you. And so now please just go and try to stay with me," Whis went on to then catch Gohan by responding. Oh goodness, because had I went and known and had foreseen the depths of Raijin's strength, then perhaps I could have went and prevented such a catastrophic war here against them, and so I need for you all to please forgive me, as your safety now rests entirely upon my shoulders now, as I vow to guard you all closely in ensuring your recovery and survival while I search desperately for...
That's the good thing about actually having the angels on deck, because they can technically heal anybody and anything. Oh, you're dead, Gohan. Let me just bring you back to life. Let me just bring you right back, because he just marked your ass. I hope you know he wasn't playing with you, boy. Hey, you gotta hit that guy even harder. Hey, you got a Zenkai boost, right? Hopefully you're a little bit stronger this time, because you know he hit real hard.
Any means of halting Raijin's rampage permanently in the meantime, and while I know that things don't look as though they are all too great for us from within this very moment, I just need for you all to simply hang in there and stay with me, Whis says. Which it was only then during this time, as Goku and Vegeta were then shown rapidly having to approach Raijin from behind and attacking him, was when Raijin then went on to quickly respond, "Yes, there we are now, and with 3 of your strongest allies down and brought down with ease on top of it, the only ones left who stand in the way of having me reach that angel in obtaining the 3rd and final configuration cube are the 2 of you." As Whis went on to then quickly rush on over towards Broly's direction by then responding, "Oh goodness, well at least you are still alive and with us, although barely, Broly, but I must hurry and bring you all to safety while I still can, and that is simply because we will need you in the meantime, and so you cannot go and perish on us now," Whis continues, "for never did I ever go and foresee for a moment where my guidance and protection protection would falter so dramatically, but I will not let this go and be the last of your days, Whis continues. As with Raijin's brutality being unparalleled, with his fury being unlike anything that we have ever encountered before since having to go back and having to wage war against my fallen brother Murno, or there must be a way around him somehow, as even in failure an angel's duty persists, as I vow to go and heal and protect you all to the best of my ability, and as you will all go and remain safe with me until I have formulated a plan on how to go and counteract his terrifying approach against us. And even though I may not be entirely sure that this is actually going to go and work out there against him, Whis adds upon having to be shown placing Gohan down next to both Beerus and Broly, and I still have to go and try, even if it ends up making the slightest bit of difference in buying us a bit of time. To which all the while back over with Vegeta and Raijin, it was only within those very moments as Raijin was shown having to grab onto one of Vegeta's punches before having to retaliate was when Raijin went on to then quickly respond, "Your stubborn refusal to acknowledge reality grows tiresome, Saiyan, so shall I further go on to enlighten you so that way you can go and see it for yourself?" Raijin questions, as the difference in our power isn't just a slight one, but it's rather staggering, infinite, and unbridgeable, and so if you still believe for your attacks to go and do any good for you and having to wear me down, then I want you to go and watch very closely, Saiyan. Raijin continues upon suddenly being shown having to uppercut Vegeta in the stomach and completely having to shatter all of his ribs, as your durability is laughably insignificant and a testament to your delusions of grandeur, while my power remains largely dormant here against you mortals, and having it go.
Man, that's fucked up. Gohan got his jaw broke, and it looked like he just took out the whole rib cage section right here on Vegeta. Gone. Broke, crack. Yeah, his shit just got. Yeah, you fumbled the bag there, Vegeta.
Would be reserved for moments of greater significance than annihilating a pack of prideful insects like you and your little friends, Vegeta. As you should have known better, foolish warrior, for did your arrogance truly deceive you into believing that you could withstand my wrath and thinking that I had been bluffing about what it was that I had said? As you are utterly pathetic, and so if you wind up losing your life in the meantime, then just know that this was exactly what you and the others had coming your way, in having to forcefully go and make you see the difference in between our power in the most brutal and painful ways, Vegeta. But this doesn't end with you, Raijin continues upon now being shown surprisingly grabbing onto Goku's neck as Goku was trying to ambush him from behind. And lastly, then there's you, Universe 7 so-called legendary Saiyan warrior who is commonly referred to as Son Goku, a man whose very nature itself cannot help but continue to lead him down the path of sorrow and destruction, Raijin adds. But just go and now take a look all around you here, Son Goku. Look how far your precious comrades have fallen in attempting to go and stand against me, only to have failed in having to do anything to actually go and make a difference in stopping me, Raijin says. And for what it's worth, Murno's incredible battle power wasn't the only thing that I had acquired after having my Dark Master's wish for his essence to go and be merged within my own, but I also just so happened to wield his battle memories as well. And because I was able to go and retain his battle memories, I am already well aware of every trick and every strategy that you will go and try to attempt to go and use here against me, which simply isn't going to work. And deep down, unlike how it was when Murno had you within his vices, this time you aren't going to be so lucky to go and make it out of this alive like how you were shown having to do with Murno, Goku. But the only difference being is that you were never my primary target to go and begin with, but instead it was that third and final configuration cube that Whis holds within his person that truly has my full and undivided attention, Saiyan. And so once I go.
See, he just said, I'm over here bodying everybody, but don't think I don't see Whis over there standing with the prize. Why is this nigga still just standing around with the prize? Oh, I forgot, because it's Whis and he ain't used to having to get fully active. You better activate, motherfucker. All that training wasn't for nothing, you dig?
Go and finally lay claim to the third and final configuration cube will be when everything will change forever, Raijin says. Because why stop in simply having to rule over one multiverse when I can go and rule over them all and expand my legion across an infinite and endless space of timelines and realities in having to conquer them all, Raijin adds. And so how exactly will you try to go and stop me when all of your reserves are out of reach, Raijin questions, because with both of the Omni Kings along with the Grand Minister out of the picture, what hope could you possibly have to actually win here, Raijin continues, because the answer to this very question is but a simple one, and that is absolutely nothing. There is nothing that you could possibly go and hope for that will stand in between us that will ultimately win you the day here against me, and once I am to go and find out on what exactly lies beyond the other side after assembling all three of those configuration cubes, the final phases of my long-awaited and long-desired plan will finally at long last be completed without any resistance. As a dire and desperate Goku then went on to quickly respond, and that's where you're wrong, because so as long as there are those of us who still are powerful enough to go and stand against you, then there will always be a way for us to try and find a way to win, even if that means in having us stake our lives on the line to go and do it. Then we will gladly go ahead and do just that. And so you don't scare me, because I have watched monsters like you come and go, and just like the rest of them, you will also go and fall alongside them too. As Raijin then went on to then quickly respond, oh, is that what you think is going to happen now, do you? How utterly delusional, for you mortals truly are the gods' greatest mistakes to date, Raijin adds. And as the very fact that these so-called deities have went and stooped this low as to go and rely on its mortal warriors to fight and protect their sacred balance is not only laughable, but it is just disgusting. And if you truly insist that you and your allies are indeed powerful enough to withstand my wrath into thinking that you can actually beat me, then why don't I just go and take this time to further remind you on exactly why these fantasies you have in defeating me are but a pointless dream, saying, oh, Kakarot, we have to try and figure out of a way to blindside him, because if this continues to go the way that it is, then we aren't going to last much longer out here if he continues to go and treat us like this, Vegeta says. And so we'll have to try and find another method to go and attack him with, because if we don't try and use something like fusion or any other counterattack to stop him in his tracks, then he'll tear us both apart, and he'll do it without breaking a sweat against us. And so hurry and try to use your instant transmission technique so that way you can go and break free and get away from him. But then it was only just before Goku was able to do so within these very moments was when Raijin was then shown having to grab onto the top of Goku's skull by then responding, oh no you don't, for you aren't going anywhere, and so don't even think about attempting to try to go and bypass me and aiding your friend here next to you, because you'd be wrong to go and assume that I would allow for either one of you to slip by me without having me catch on to you. And so to ensure my position, allow for me to go and put an end to your miserable struggle by putting you in your rightful place and giving you a reminder of where you mortals belong, Raijin adds. And as you leave this world and venture on over into the afterlife, just know that otherworld, along with every and all other realms beyond the world of the living, will soon be destroyed after everything is dealt with. As this notion of mortal camaraderie is as revolting as it is pointless to watch take place, but it's because of your very own actions in choosing to defy me is where the source of your suffering will stem from, Raijin says. And then while you insects have went and managed to amuse me for a brief heartbeat within these very moments. I grow tired of this charade since I didn't go and come here to test the might of your mightiest mortal warriors, but am rather here to go and erase them instead, Raijin continues. And so, it is due to this very fact, for none of you could ever go and hope to try to do anything within your power that will honestly go and make a difference in this war out here against me. And since I grow tired of allowing for you insects to continue to try your best in regrouping and rounding each other up to go and attack me, no longer will I go and stand here and allow for any of that to happen, while my true calling lies directly before me in obtaining the third and final configuration cube, Saiyan. For you will go and perish in the name of failure with your face lying in the dirt where it belongs, as I am about to go and make you regret on ever attempting to go and attack me when you should have bowed. But then, it was only just before Raijin even had the opportunity to go and do anything to wipe out both Goku and Vegeta was when all of a sudden both Vegeta and Goku's body were then shown having to quickly vanish, as Raijin then went on to quickly ask, "And what's this? And just where exactly do those two think that they're going? Wait, now I see, but of course." As those two didn't go and act on their own just now and having to go and attempt to try to escape me, but were rather rescued and saved by another. And if I had to go and take a guess, Raijin adds, "Oh, then I'd be right, for I knew that you'd go and try to attempt to make a move against me sooner or later, Whis," Raijin adds upon having to see a gigantic blast being shown having to slam right into him. "But attempting to go and bypass the inevitable was a mistake that I will ensure that you pay dearly for with your blood, you angelic wretch," as Whis went on to then respond, "Now while I may not have all of the time in the world here to try to go and get this going, I must hurry while that demon is distracted before he is able to go and find a way to break free, for if we are to hope to stand a chance against this beast moving forward," Whis adds, "then I may in fact actually have a plan that just might end up buying us the time that we need, and so let us see," as an angry Raijin was then shown being pushed back by then quickly responding, "Why, you rotten, pathetic little sneaky angel, I am going to make sure that you suffer slowly for ever daring to go and cross me in such a way like how you just did." Alright, now everyone wake up immediately and listen very, very carefully, for there is no room for hesitation after this, since my attack won't be strong enough to go and hold Raijin back for more than just a brief moment. And so because of this, you must quickly begin to regain your senses and rise to your feet at once, because I may not be able to go and have another chance in having to go and do this. And so I will need for you all to go and pay very close attention to what it is that I'm about to say, because we only have this one final chance left to counter Raijin's sinister plans, as our lives, this universe, and everything you cherish depend on how swiftly and effectively you go and follow my instructions, Whis continues, as there is no room for doubt or deviation here, and so I will need for you to go and follow my instructions exactly as I go and tell you, or we will end up losing everything that we have been fighting so extremely hard to protect, which is why I will need for you all to listen very closely, and I mean all of you, as I am hereby only doing this because I am left with no other choice, for I cannot risk in having to be captured with this relic on my persons, and especially with Raijin watching and listening to everything very closely. But if we go and act now while his focus is on me, then we may in fact actually be able to go and find a way to buy just enough time in figuring out of a way on how to free the Omni Kings locate the Grand Priest. And so what I am giving you is one of the 3 configuration cubes that Raijin is desperately attempting to try and acquire, Whis adds, and if that monster is able to somehow find a way to obtain it, then the very balance of the reality as we know it will spiral into irreversible collapse and we will all be destroyed. But not only do these configuration cubes hold the power to go and affect our multiverse if Raijin were to go and somehow get his hands on all 3 of them, but they also seem to have the power to affect the Omniverse as well, Whis adds, which this in and of itself is an infinite and ever-expanding plane of existence that is home to not just our multiverse, but thousands of others, Whis adds. And if all 3 of these cubes are to be gathered and combined into one, will they only open the gateway into allowing for anyone who combined them to go and cross over into their unknown domain, Whis says. And so now to go and avoid in having him ever have the chance to go and attempt to lay claim over this cube, Whis adds, you must go and do what you can to ensure that this cube stays beyond his reach reach, as that alone will be enough to stall his ascension while we go and figure out on how we can go and get help in having to find and locate the Grand Minister, as well as being able to set the Omni Kings free from their imprisonment. Whis continues, as with the other remaining Angel attendees all stationed by my command on behalf of the Grand Minister to guard their universes in not stepping out of their governing worlds lest they risk in having their universes be completely destroyed and taken over and wiped out by Raijin's army, we will have to go and make do with what we can in keeping that configuration cube as far away from that lunatic while I keep his attention preoccupied with me here in the meantime, as it was only right then and there now during that moment where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Story of the Dark Masters, the official Murno sequel, manga chapter number 30.
See, he finally officially passed the package off to somebody like, I'm gonna need y'all to motherfucking do something with this, because I'm finna have to get it here, put it at work. Shouts out to putting in that work. Like he said, it ain't nothing to it left but to do it. Hey, y'all know to go check out the, no, I ain't gotta give y'all his advertisement, but y'all know to go check out that W link on my side, because you know we do have affiliate marketing programs, and if you need an energy drink and want to be sponsored because you make content, yeah, better definitely hook up with their affiliate program through my link. It'll be somewhere there for you to find, probably on TWP's channel, but you get how you already know. Anyways.
Special then comes to a close.
Well, actually, I'll go ahead and take it from here, as I do want to go as far as to address something very important with our dear viewers at the moment. As before I go and give you the following information, if you aren't already a member of Unreal's Patreon community, then you are truly missing out on so much without you even knowing, because not only is the next episode already on the page, but if you want to support all of the manga content that you see and gain access to tons of exclusives along the way that range from a variety of different things, then we do encourage for you all to become members of our Patreon community today, for we will link everything down within the description.
I like how in his series he got Vegeta fucking mullet. hey, I'm coming at you like a spider monkey, Dale.
Box below and pinned comment section as well. Now, I will go as far as to say that even though I had not foreseen for such a dire and dangerous circumstance to go and present itself so early after what was just shown and having to take place here, we mustn't waste any more time and do what needs to be done in order for us to have a fighting chance at surviving against such a monster. So while I will go on to distract him long enough for the rest of you to go and figure things out and having to get that final configuration cube as far away from him that you possibly can before he catches on to what we were just shown and having to do, you do not want to go and miss out on what is about to happen coming up next. So we hope that you all enjoyed today's video. And before you leave, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up by smashing that like button on your way out, as well as also subscribing to Unreal Int Gaming's channel for tons of new Dragon Ball content. So with that, we thank you all so much for watching, as we'll be seeing you all again for the next one.
Hello. Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by simply subscribing to Unreal Int Gaming?
Also, don't forget to follow on these social media platforms, you sexy son of a bitch.
Roshi.
Silent Cell. Me and the fans are having a moment. That's right. I know what you want. Extra long, thick Dragon Ball content. Quality reviews with flawless editing. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You dirty bitch.
Roshi, the fuck?
God damn it, I need them to subscribe, Cell.
And we're demonetized.
Yeah, screw it. Let's cut to the video.
You're making a big mistake. Where do you think you're going? Pity, what a waste of talent. Bye. Not today. Back off. Have it your way. A tough guy like you should be able to face the truth.
Are you okay?
Knowing that they both relative the whole time throughout the story, except
Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door.
I released a video recently where I made the assertion that not a single one of you could beat any Dragon Ball fighter. And the hilarious part is, the comments were flooded with people who thought that I was wrong and that they had valid answers. You're all wrong, so let's go through them. You think you could beat Chaozu in a fight? Sorry my guy, but he can fly, psychically control your entire body, and shoot deadly Dodonpa beams that would have one-shotted Goku an arc prior. So yeah, try again. You think you can beat Ranfan or Bacterian from the World Tournament? Well, at least you're getting a bit more creative now, but still, unfortunately, both of them, despite their gimmicks, were still highly capable fighters that made their way through the preliminary rounds of the most illustrious martial arts tournament in the world. Unless you are a legit high-level professional fighter, which I highly doubt you are, you ain't taken either of these guys. Videl, not even close. Chi-Chi, she is absolutely wiping the floor with you. Oolong? Well, okay, he's not really a fighter to begin with, is he? But honestly, he might just turn into a rocket and fly out of your reach, so even if you do cheat, you're still not beating a dragon.